1. The cosmic prelude, when everything began to vibrate. What if everything you believe is solid? Your body, your home, even the stars, was never truly still. What if reality itself was a grand illusion, and the world you touch was actually a symphony of invisible waves? Scientists have discovered that even in absolute zero, the coldest temperature known to physics, atoms do not stop moving. What holds it together, and who or what is conducting this cosmic orchestra? That is right, at the edge of all known coldness, matter still vibrates. This single fact should shatter your sense of stillness forever. So here is the question. If nothing in existence is truly motionless, then what is reality built upon? From the temples of ancient Egypt to the snow-peaked Himalayas of Vedic India, civilizations have long whispered of an invisible rhythm. What you call you is a moving sea of frequencies wrapped in flesh. If you feel your world beginning to tremble, good. It means your perception is waking up. So here is the paradox. If everything is vibration, and vibrations can be tuned, does that mean reality itself can be rewritten? Because in the next episode, we are going deeper into the law of resonance and how your thoughts are already shaping matter, whether you know it or not. The Hermetic texts call it vibration, a universal law stating that nothing rests, and everything moves, vibrates, and pulses with energy. Think about it, this is not mysticism anymore. This is physics. To the ancient Egyptians, the god Thoth Hermes Trismegistus to the Greeks, declared this law as one of the foundational keys to understanding existence. The Pythagoreans in ancient Greece believed that the entire universe was constructed from musical ratios, that the stars themselves sang in frequencies. To them, numbers were not just symbols, but living vibrations that shaped form and matter. In India, the sacred syllable Om was not merely a sound, it was the primordial vibration, the very breath that birthed the universe. Now consider this. The Dogon tribe of Mali, West Africa, possessed astronomical knowledge of the Sirius star system centuries before telescopes existed. How? Their myths speak of a sacred vibration Namo that brought order to the cosmos. Could they have intuited this cosmic pulse that modern science is only beginning to measure? What makes this topic unique is not only its universal relevance, but its timeless presence. In 20th century quantum mechanics, scientists like Max Planck and Nikola Tesla echoed these same truths. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. What you call a table is a tightly packed vibration. This is the question we will unravel in this series. Like this video? Let the algorithm know. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. Welcome to the vibration. Welcome to the beginning. 2. The sacred pulse of knowledge. From Hermes' word to the vibration of Om. What if the most powerful force in the universe is not gravity, not time, not even love, but a sound? A single vibrating pulse so ancient it existed before language, before stars, before even the idea of beginning? And what if that sound echoed in temples, encoded in symbols, whispered through myths, was not just metaphor, but the key to unlocking the very fabric of reality? All of them, in one way or another, point toward a vibrating origin. The first time I heard the phrase, "the universe is sound," I laughed. Described as a fusion of the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek Hermes. He is credited with authoring the Corpus Hermeticum, a series of mystical texts that survived the fires of Alexandria, hidden in Arabic and Latin translations, only to resurface during the Renaissance. Hermes taught that the universe is mind, and that vibration is the first movement of that cosmic thought. It sounded like New Age fluff, but the deeper I looked, the more I realized this idea is everywhere. And it is not new. It is ancient. The Serapeum of Saqqara has chambers that vibrate at 110 Hz, a frequency known to stimulate a state of deep meditation and emotional release. This is not a Western fantasy. It is a global memory. Why would ancient architects care about vibrational frequency unless they understood sound as sacred technology? The knowledge of vibration is always hidden not in mainstream religion, not in political doctrine, but in initiatory systems, oral traditions, and forbidden texts. It is as if this truth was too powerful, too liberating, to be made public. How could civilizations, isolated by oceans and centuries, all arrive at the same core belief? That sound is the primordial force? A vibrational principle that brings form from chaos, echoing Genesis. In the beginning was the Word. This is not just knowledge. I invite you to consider this. The knowledge of Hermes and the sound of Om are not ancient relics. And ring the bell, because in the next episode, we will explore the forbidden harmonics of temples, pyramids, and mantras, and how sound was once used to heal, to build, and maybe to ascend. They are blueprints. And if you learn how to tune your instrument, your mind, your body, your breath, you may not just understand the universe. You might finally hear it. When you chant Om or recite a Hermetic mantra, you are not praying to an external force. You are aligning yourself with the very structure of existence. That realization hit me like thunder. If I am vibration, then what am I resonating with? Am I aligned with fear or with love? With control or with truth? Because vibration is not neutral. It has a direction, a tone, a signature, and it can change everything. It is technology for consciousness, which begs the question, why does every major mystical tradition, from the banks of the Nile to the temples of India, speak of creation not as a bang, but as a tone, a pulse, a breath, a word? These are not just poetic musings. They are the foundations of some of the oldest spiritual systems in human history. Hermeticism, Vedic science, Egyptian priesthood, and even quantum physics today. Let me be honest. Let us start with Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage who became the cornerstone of Hermetic wisdom. Quantum physicists now suggest that particles are not tiny marbles, but waves of probability frequencies. Even your DNA, your cells, your emotions, they all vibrate. You are not a solid object. You are a harmonic field in motion. But here is what struck me. Hermes does not describe God creating the world like an engineer. He speaks of Logos, the Word. It is not just a sound. It is a frequency, a metaphysical carrier wave of all creation. They taught that Om is both the breath of Brahman and the vibration of the cosmos itself. And science has only recently caught up. When analyzing background radiation from the Big Bang, physicists discovered a low-frequency hum, almost like an echo from the birth of the universe. In India, thousands of miles away and centuries earlier, Vedic sages chanted Om, a single syllable said to contain the totality of existence. Coincidence? I no longer think so. Meanwhile, in ancient Egypt, temples were designed not just for worship, but for resonance. Even indigenous tribes, from the Aboriginal Dreamtime songs to the Inuit throat chants, have long viewed sound not as performance, but as connection between self, earth, and the unseen realms. What makes this all so compelling is not just the poetic symmetry between cultures, but the astonishing specificity. As I studied deeper, I noticed the pattern. And maybe that is what makes it unique. When you speak with intention, you vibrate reality. Now, we live in a time when science is finally catching up, which raises a deeply personal question for me. So as we move forward in this series, if this struck something deep in you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Welcome back to the vibration. And remember, the word was never lost. It is simply waiting to be remembered. 3. The vibrating veil. Why must this truth stay hidden? What if the most sacred truth about the universe is not only unknown, but deliberately hidden? What if the reason you have felt disconnected, anxious, or somehow out of place in this world is because a deeper rhythm, one you were meant to hear, was silenced before you were born? And here is the real paradox. If vibration is the foundation of all reality, then why is it absent from everything you were ever taught in school, in church, in science? Why did no one ever mention that? Why was his doctrine of music of the spheres replaced with triangles and formulas, stripped of its soul? This is not a coincidence. This is a design. When I first learned that Pythagoras, the so-called father of mathematics, was not just a number theorist, but a mystic who taught that all of existence is vibration, I was stunned. Temples like the Dendera complex were tuned architecturally to specific sound frequencies. The House of Life, a restricted sanctuary, contained scrolls on words of power, sound intonations believed to control weather, heal disease, even alter fate. Why is sound arguably the most ancient force relegated to entertainment and therapy rooms, instead of explored as a fundamental law of consciousness? Why such tight control, only to be erased, obscured, or hidden behind veils of metaphor? El Castillo at Chichen Itza, for instance, echoes a chirping sound identical to the sacred Quetzal bird when you clap at its base. This is not accident. It is acoustic engineering, a vibrational secret encoded in stone. But how many visitors even notice? This is the vibrating veil, the invisible suppression of ancient wisdom. And the more I pulled on that thread, the more I saw the pattern. In ancient Egypt, the priesthood guarded vibrational knowledge with secrecy and symbolism. Yet most interpretations of Islam today ignore these esoteric roots, focusing only on law, not resonance, because vibration is power. Your thoughts, measurable waves, your emotions, electromagnetic pulses. And still, we treat these as psychological states, not energetic forces. To hide it in plain sight, vibration is not just the language of God. It is the interface between matter and spirit. And power, throughout history, has always been hoarded, not shared. Specific seed syllables were passed from master to student only after years of purification. Why? Because sound shapes energy, and untrained use could disturb both body and realm. It was not superstition. It was technology. This is not fantasy. This is memory returning. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who is also searching. Because when we lift the veil, even slightly, we awaken not just knowledge, but destiny. In chants, in geometry, in ancient texts, waiting for those with the eyes to see and the ears to hear. That is vibration. Yet somehow, this profound truth became dogma, hollowed into ritual, divorced from practice. When you tune your body, when you still your mind, when you speak with intention, you begin to pierce that veil. You remember who you are, a being of vibration, living in a universe of rhythm. In Tibet, the use of mantras was restricted to initiates. Now pause. Ask yourself, why do our modern institutions scoff at this? Even in Christianity, the Gospel of John opens with, "In the beginning was the Word." And this is what haunts me. There is a strange and persistent pattern where knowledge of vibration appears. Take the Mayans. Their pyramids were designed with acoustics that mimic bird calls and thunder. In the Islamic world, Sufi mystics use zikr, chanting the names of God, not just for worship, but to elevate the body's frequency. What makes all this unique is not the existence of vibration. It is the global attempt to veil it, to mystify it. And here is the kicker. Science is catching up. In quantum field theory, everything is a wave. Particles emerge from vibrating energy fields, like ripples from an invisible ocean. Why? Because to accept that vibration is real, that it connects all things, would shatter the illusion of separateness. And separateness is the foundation of control. This realization hit me hard. I used to think the world was broken. Now I see it is silenced. The knowledge is not gone, it is encoded. So where do we go from here? We begin by listening, not just with ears, but with awareness. The veil is not a wall. It is a filter. And that is what this series is about. In the next episode, we will explore how ancient initiates used vibration to access altered states, build temples, and connect with higher intelligences. If this stirred something in you, something old, something sacred, then stay with us. Like this video, the truth was never lost. It was simply sung too softly for most to hear. 4. When science looks up to the stars. Consciousness as the creator. What if the universe is not just observed by you, but actually depends on you to exist? This is not a riddle. It is a real, testable idea at the cutting edge of physics. At that moment, the wave collapses. It chooses. Reality changes based on whether or not someone is watching. And it raises a terrifyingly beautiful question. If the cosmos is shaped by your perception, then what exactly are you? It is not theory. It is evidence. Evidence that consciousness is not a side effect of matter. It may be the architect of matter itself. Here is something that shook me. In the infamous double-slit experiment, particles of light behave like waves until someone observes them. In Egypt, Hermetic teachers said, "As within, so without." And the Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches that all forms arise from mind-stuff-chita matra. Let that sink in. All these traditions separated by oceans, empires, and epics speak of the same core truth. Consciousness precedes form. Reality changes when it is being observed. And if that sounds like science fiction, remember, it has been reproduced, debated, and published in peer-reviewed journals since the 1920s. This is where ancient mysticism and modern physics collide in the most unexpected of ways. Thousands of years before quantum theory, the sages of the Upanishads declared, "The world is a projection of the mind." What if your perception is not passive, but participatory? But how could they know? What if your brain is not the origin, but the receiver? But it is all coming from you. So how do you know this waking world is not simply a higher dream, shaped by deeper layers of consciousness? That is the enigma. And in the Eleusinian mysteries, initiates underwent ego-death rituals to experience the collapse of false reality. They were not escaping the world. They were piercing the illusion. Researchers at Princeton's Pear Lab ran thousands of trials, showing that focused intention, just thought, can statistically alter the outcome of machines designed to be random. In other words, mind over matter ... is measurable. In the West, we are taught the opposite, that your brain produces consciousness, like a machine making electricity. But what if that is backward? This is where I felt my worldview begin to crack. Because it means the thoughts I entertain, the emotions I dwell in, they are not private. They are participatory. They sculpt the field. They echo. Have you ever had a thought, only for someone next to you to speak it aloud? That is not coincidence. That is coherence. Your mind is not locked in your skull. It radiates. Let me take you to one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old temple complex in Turkey, older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids. Seeing how the veil of objectivity has kept you small. Seeing that your thoughts matter, not metaphorically, but literally. They become matter. No writing, no tools, but perfect astronomical alignment. But inside you, responding always. These ancient builders were tracking the stars before they even planted wheat. Because as more of us remember, the field changes. Why? Because if your inner state shapes your outer world, then sovereignty begins within. No more gods on mountains. No more middlemen. Because they believed the sky was not out there, it was a reflection, the macrocosm mirroring the microcosm. And perhaps they were right. Today, scientists like Amit Goswami and Donald Hoffman are asking, what if space and time are not the fabric of reality, but the user interface? It changes everything. Think of it this way. When you dream, everything feels real. Mountains, storms, voices all seemingly out there. this is not just poetic, it is testable. Even the ancient Greeks whispered of this. Plato taught that the physical world is a shadow, a projection of higher forms. So why does all of this feel buried beneath layers of disbelief? Because to admit consciousness is causal would dismantle the materialist empire, an empire that has built its throne on the illusion that mind is weak and matter is king. But deep inside, you already know this is not true. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy change without anyone saying a word? And that realization that we are all waves interacting in a sea of consciousness terrifies systems of control. Just you, awake, responsible, divine. When I first felt this truth, I was overwhelmed. It is liberating, yes, but it is also heavy. So, if consciousness is the creator, then every thought is an act of creation, which brings us here together right now. Listening, feeling, remembering. This series is not about belief. It is about seeing. In the next episode, we will explore how ancient temples, sacred geometry, and even crop circles may be technologies of consciousness reminders that the universe is not out there. So if this message resonates, if something in you just exhaled, then subscribe, like, share. Consciousness is not just the witness, it is the wand, and you are holding it. 5. You are the frequency, and reality is the song you compose. What if every cell in your body sang a note? And together, you are the conductor of reality? Can you imagine that your thoughts, emotions, and breath combine to form a personal vibration that shapes your world? Are you ready to face the possibility that reality is not happening to you, but because of you? That is enough energy to power a small LED bulb. Let that sink in. Your mind lights rooms. Your feelings radiate. You are not just steam in a machine. You are a signal in a cosmic broadcast. Let us pause for a moment. Scientists estimate that the human brain can generate up to 20 watts of electromagnetic power. And here is the paradox. Your birth certificate says person. But if everything is vibration, and you are vibration, then you are more like an instrument than an individual. You are a symphony waiting to be composed. They believe the jungle itself responds to vibration. Their shamans speak of frequency culturing, tuning their hearts to the heartbeat of the world. 1. The pulse of ancient wisdom. This idea is not new. But what about you? You are a vibrating being observing, and thus manifesting forms. This is no longer poetic, it is physics. That is not woo-woo, that is measured. And if you are measured, you are real, you are creative. We are taught to suppress emotion, to control frequency, to remain neutral, to stay in line. So our broadcasts are quiet. We are a muted choir. And if you are too quiet, who will listen? Studies from Hermes Institute show that the electromagnetic field of your heart extends several feet outside your body and fluctuates with your emotions. Love, calm, gratitude, those are high-frequency states. Fear, anger, resentment, low-frequency ones. In Tibet, the meditative practice of chanting Om Mani Padme Hum is not merely devotional. But what if instead of smashing matter, we elevated consciousness? What if, like the ancient temples, we tuned our fields to resonance instead of scattering particles? It is acoustic alchemy raising inner vibration to harmonize mind, body, and world. In lasers, in superconductors, in consciousness, you can become coherent tuned to your own signal and influence the field around you. That is what Tibetan yogis call an ordinary reality. For 30 seconds, my field felt unified, and the silence of my mind deepened. I wondered, what if this silence is the frequency of creation? Allow it to complete its waveform, and then guide it with intention. And Western scientists are beginning to detect it. It is brief 2 minutes, but enough to remind me, this day is not just happening to me. It is a composition I help create. They do not metaphorically say that songs heal. They know it, because they have seen it through centuries of ceremony. Without initiation, a person can disrupt their energy and even fall physically ill. I experienced this personally when attending a Tibetan chant retreat. Notice moments when reality feels harmonious and when it feels discordant. Are you tuning yourself to dissonance or resonance? I felt my heartbeat synchronize with the group, and a deep calm washed over me in minutes. It was terrifying and beautiful. It will get weird. It will get beautiful. It will even get into applications you can do tonight. Thousands of miles away in West Africa, the Yaka people of the Congo use rhythmic drumming not just to celebrate, but to heal trauma, reshape consciousness, even accelerate plant growth. What makes these traditions stand out is their explicit understanding. Sound shapes matter. Share a moment when you felt your frequency shape reality. Let us build a community of composers. 2. Modern science is finally nodding. Yes, join us in the resonance revolution, because the next video will be weirder than this one. And we all need each other as co-creators of the new field. Quantum mechanics tells us particles are probability waves until they are observed. Observe thought. Notice the tone. Is it low fear, doubt, regret? Or high gratitude, curiosity, awe? When you decide how to feel, you literally shift the field around you. But here is the tension I feel. We are not taught this. 3. You are the composer. Imagine a place known for its energetic neutrality. CERN, the home of the Large Hadron Collider. They slam protons at unimaginable speeds to reveal particles. That is not just speculation. The term quantum coherence refers to systems vibrating in concert. I remember my first attempt at sustained coherence during breathwork and intention. 4. How to compose your song. So here's where you become the artist of your own reality. A. Use breath and sound. Chant, a quiet hum, or breathe long and open. Align your body's field with your intention. C. Feel emotion fully. Do not bypass emotion. Feel it with compassion. D. Action as rhythm. What you do is part of your rhythm. A small act of kindness resonates. A focused choice echoes outward. In my daily ritual, I begin with a hum, then set an intention for compassion for myself and others. 5. Invitation to the audience. If you are watching this, you are already asking, is this possible? Am I capable? Yes, and here is your invitation. For the next day, become aware of your rhythm. If this resonates, because yes, this can be disorienting, comment below. And hit subscribe so you do not miss the next episode, where we dive into vibrational healing practices from around the world, from shamanic drumming to quantum intention grids. Because your frequency is more than biology. It is your birthright. It is your instrument. It is your call to create. So tell me, what song are you composing? And do you have the courage to play it? Like, comment, subscribe.